Hello guys, I've been uploading videos on defense, military and strategy for the last couple of months. I have realized that around 90% of my viewers have not subscribed to my channel. So if you like my videos, then please consider subscribing. Few days ago, we talked about a possible short-span limited war between India and China. I'll link that video in description. But today, we shall talk about a possible all-out war between these two countries. Both the countries have no first-use policy when it comes to nuclear weapon. So let's optimistically assume that this war will not include nuclear exchange. We will also not be including help from other nations and cyber warfare in this video. We shall make another video for that portion. Other than that, we will talk about absolutely all the possibilities between these two nations and tactics that these two nations can use against each other. So first, let's talk about the war on land, accompanied by Air Force. If we compare the sheer numbers, China does have upper hand over Indian Air Force. China has over 5 major air bases around Indian border. The capabilities of these bases are unknown. Kashgar, Hotan, Hoping, Linzing and Garagunsa are the bases near Indian border. Kashgar Air Base has supposedly J-7 fighters deployed, and Hotan Air Base has J-20 deployed. It is believed that other air bases have J-11 and Xi'an H-6 bombers deployed near Indian borders. If we talk about Indian air bases, India majorly has 4 to 5 air bases positioned near China. Leh in Ladakh, Bareilly and Chabua in Assam are 3 major fighter air bases which are positioned against China. All these 3 air bases have majorly MiG-29 and Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft deployed. Another important air base close to Nepal's border is Gorakhpur, which is majorly a ground strike dedicated air base with Jaguars deployed. 5th air base, which is in proximity with Chinese border, is Tezpur Air Base in Assam, with composition of MiG-29 and Sukhoi 30 aircrafts. All these 5 air bases have approximately 150 to 200 fighter aircrafts. In comparison, the Chinese air bases might have 150 to 250 fighter aircrafts deployed. But their numbers will be drastically changed once an all-out war starts. The number of ground troops deployed by PLA alongside Indian border is also unknown. But it is believed that China has deployed an artillery and light mechanized division near Indian borders. It must be noted that not much armored battle will be taking place between India and China on Himalayan mountains. Although light artillery and light armored vehicles like tanks will be very important as a force multiplier. China has deployed Type 15 light tank on Indian border. We still don't know the numbers, but India does not have a realistic answer to this Chinese light tank. In last few months, both India and China have deployed lots of firepower in all vital frontiers. In Ladakh region, India has deployed some T-72 tanks and artillery units. If India attacks China first, Hotan Air Base will be the prime target for Indian Air Force. The best way India can conduct this operation is striking Chinese air bases and military installations, and parallelly, Indian Army starts capturing vital points being supported by Air Force and artillery. Reacting to this, China will be more than ready to retaliate. China might open more than 2 fronts, that is, maybe in Uttarakhand and also in Arunachal Pradesh. India will have to be ready to face this issue. In this case, China will be pushed back for a while, since Indian troops will be supplied more thoroughly than Chinese. But after a couple of weeks or a month, China will gain some territory that they have lost, since their logistics will improve. India will have one advantage over China, that is India's Mountain Strike Corps. China does not have a dedicated Mountain Strike Brigade, and Indian Mountain Corps is much more experienced than almost any mountain unit in the world. One of the major advantages that China has over India is attack helicopters. China has over 250 dedicated attack helicopters. China will extensively use these helicopters to harass Indian troops on hilltops. Indian surface-to-air missiles will not be very effective in deep mountain regions. and due to weight issues, Indian infantry will not be able to carry lots of man-pads. If the attack is from China's side, the situation will not be very different either. China might gain some territories in start, but will have to lose it later. But unlike India, China will not be able to strike interior air bases of India like Bareilly and Gorakhpur, because these areas are relatively plain and surface-to-air missiles will be very effective in these areas. But China will surely attack Ladakh and Chabot air bases. But once China enters Indian territory in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh, China will essentially shortcut Indian supplies and will have to face massive Indian retaliation, and Indian troops will push China back into the Chinese territory. But once Indian troops are inside Chinese territory, they will be again very vulnerable to Chinese counter-retaliation. And Chinese will cut short the logistics and supplies of Indian forces, which is a major upper hand that Indian forces have over China. Another important variable in a Sino-Indian war is Chinese rocket force. Chinese rocket force has deployed lots of short-range, intermediate-range ballistic missiles along with CJ-10 cruise missiles. The sheer numbers of this missile will become a huge problem for Indian military installations. India can probably intercept a small fraction of these missiles, but many Indian strategic and military installations will be constantly stabbed by these Chinese missiles. India does also possess similar missiles which can also be deployed near Chinese border. But India neither has produced nor deployed enough land attack missiles to counter Chinese missile barrage. Once China deploys greater air power around the Indian border, India will be in major problem. Since Chinese pilots might not be more trained than Indian pilots, but China does have huge technical and numerical advantage over India. China's J-11, J-10 and J-16 aircrafts are comparable to India's Sukhoi 30, Mirage and MiG-29 fighters. But Chinese J-20 is superior to any aircraft that India has in its arsenal. So in an all-out air war, especially in Chinese territory, Indian Air Force will lose more than Chinese. But if China totally destroys Indian Air Force, almost 60 to 70% of Chinese air power will be lost. So the willingness of PLAF to push further will be depreciated. And if the war is fought inside Indian territory, it won't last for long and Chinese military forces will be pushed back in China. So overall, in case of land war between India and China, the result will be stalemate. With little Chinese territorial gain and some Indian territorial gains in some respective areas, still both the countries will be losing great part of their air forces. But the situation in Chinese and Indian water won't be left at stalemate. Both Indian and Chinese navies are expeditionary naval forces, but Chinese Navy is much more capable and bigger than Indian Navy. But India has an access and control over a very important trade route in Indian Ocean. India will not dare to launch an offensive against Chinese Navy in South China Sea, but India can create an elaborate blockade against Chinese vessels in Indian Ocean, near Malacca Strait and vessels coming from Suez Canal. Chinese Navy is yet to have enough endurance to cut through Indian naval blockade accompanied by Indian Air Force in Indian Ocean. So most likely, China will not want Indian Navy to participate in Himalayan war. But India won't wait for long and for sure create a naval blockade against China in Indian Ocean. Even if in hypothetical situation where PLA Navy sends huge barrage of submarine and surface ship, Indian anti-submarine warfare ships, aircraft carriers and aircrafts all deployed in strategic positions will exactly know where to look and shoot. So an all-out war between India and China will only create economic and strategic issues between both the nations and for the world. Once we start talking about allies of both the countries entering the war, this regional conflict will escalate into World War III. We will talk about contributions and significance of Indian and Chinese allies in this war in some other video. Till then, Spearhead, over and out.